Hi guys, welcome back to Switch Up and to day one of the 12 days of Switch Up.
Yeah, this was a series that we did last year and it was very well received. We really enjoyed making it. It was kind of the birth of our more conversational videos, so we thought this year we'd do it again, but on screen. So today for the first instalment, we have some essential games for new Switch owners. Obviously Christmas is coming, Goose is getting fat and all that. And I'm sure many people will be picking up a Switch. So we've got a variety of genres for you today, and we're going to pick a first party game and a third party game for each of those one genres.
At the end of this 12 days of Switch Up, we're giving away a Switch OLED, at least one, maybe two, depends on basically what the powers that be say, and as well as a copy of our favourite game or our top rated game of all time. How do you win it? Well, all you need to do is just leave a normal comment, share the video, things like that. We'll pick out a winner at the end and announce it, so you'll get a nice little bonus Christmas present.
Nice one. Also, don't forget you can save 10% off of your eShop cards on our website, switchup.gg. Use the code SwitchUp, and yeah, you can get yourself that nice little saving. So, which games have we picked as essential? Well, let's find out. Okay, to start with then, we're going to go with 2D platformers, and the first party pick, maybe not one that you'd be expecting, it's not Mario, it's Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Now the reason we went for this one, I mean I like the Mario game that's on the Switch, it's perfectly functional, the new Super Mario game, but it's a tad tired by this point for my liking. I think Donkey Kong just presents more of a challenge. I think aesthetically it's got a lot more variety in its levels, and I've always enjoyed that Donkey Kong platforming, going all the way back to the first one on the Super Nintendo, of course, back in, what was it, 94, I think.
Are these more challenging than the older ones, or are they about the same?
About on par. They've got a lot of the same beats, you know, the minecart levels and what have you.
Yeah.
Similar sort of challenge, I would say. But Tropical Freeze is a very good game. It started on the Wii U, of course, and that's what put some people off. It's a port. There's been a lot of ports from Wii U to the Switch, of course, but I mean, it's a good game. You know, at the end of the day, if you haven't played it before, it's still a good game. Well worth picking up.
Lovely. So the alternative, I think we both kind of agreed on this one. It's been on the Switch since day dot, really, since the beginning almost.
The early one, yeah.
Yeah, and it's the third party alternative would be Rayman Legends.
Legends, yes.
Which I think has 4-player co-op play, which really does make a difference for me. You know.
Yeah.
Stick all the kids on there. It's like it's an absolute win, really. It looks like beautiful, really nice, classic side-scrolling. There's a few stages that are those, you know, where you're running away from a thing.
Yeah, and they're set to music sometimes, aren't they? And it kind of builds to a crescendo as you go along.
This one drops on sale a lot as well.
It does for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
And I think you can pick it up physically. It's becoming slightly harder to find, but when you do find it, it's still quite cheap.
Yeah.
Very, very good platformer, as you say, Mark. Great deal of fun. Beautiful look to it. Again, another game that's on the Wii U, funny enough, but well worth picking up. Great game. Right, let's move into 3D platformers now then, and I suppose the obvious pick for your first party is Mario Odyssey, a game that came out, I think it was in the first year of the Switch's life, pretty sure it was late that year, 2017. You know, loved by all. Classic Mario fare in terms of the actual platform inside of it, going all the way back to, say, Mario 64, you know, Sunshine, Galaxy, etc. But it added that new mechanic of the hat, didn't it?
Yeah, Cappy.
Cappy, that's right, where you can throw Cappy and capture, if you like, an enemy and then possess them and use them for whatever reason to get across an obstacle of some description.
I like that, use them for whatever reason.
Well, you know.
No, it's good. The old T-Rex advert sold it, didn't it, to most people?
Exactly that. Yeah, that was a good call, wasn't it?
That was
use,
quality.
you know, go with the King of the Monsters and not Godzilla. I mean, obviously,
Not Godzilla.
That would have been good. That would have been great.
Good.
With your little hat on his top. No, very good game. It throws moons at you like they're going out of fashion.
It really does,
You know, like the old stars in Mario 64. And that was the one thing that I didn't like as much about it, but that doesn't detract from the quality of the game. It's absolutely, you know, essential if you like your 3D platformers. Yeah.
And then the alternative would be Spyro. So I played the original Spyro back on the PlayStation 1. And it at the time was like, wow, this looks amazing. But the Reignited trilogy, that feels right.
So that sounds
feels
right. Yeah.
Looks beautiful. And it was one of the first games to actually get the Unreal Engine to look good on the Switch and run well. And you've obviously got 3 games for the price of one. They're decent. They do have a lot of the 90s tropes, I guess, to them, but they're just really good platform adventures.
Yeah, the one thing I would say that, you know, almost cost it its place, because it does bug me, is that if you buy it physically, you only get one game on the actual cartridge and the other 2 are download codes.
It's upsetting.
It's really annoying. It's so annoying. But again, you can't really hold that against the games themselves. The games are still fun. very much worth playing.
Yeah. All right. So our best ARPGs, or the ones that we think are essential. The first one is one that I've played recently, and I still haven't finished it. For the record, I'm probably only about 40 hours in, maybe 35, 40 hours, and it's Xenoblade 3. Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah.
Now, weirdly, I didn't actually didn't finish the other ones before I started this because I was just too eager. You know, I had to play it, and it's brilliant. And you don't need to have played those. You've played the older ones, right?
I played the first one and completed it.
Yeah.
I've played some of the second one, and I haven't played that expansion that they released. Torna, thank you. But I haven't played that at all, as I said, and I don't want to play 3 yet. So I'm kind of in this weird quandary of knowing there's this amazing game.
Yeah.
I own it, I bought it, but I just can't play it yet. So I will get to it, and I'm sure I will love it. But from what you've said and what other people have said, it is tippity top. It's right up there.
It's tippity top, absolutely. So the alternative is another one it was one that we actually went to Square Enix to play, isn't it? Trials of Mana.
It is, yeah. We went down to their offices a couple of years ago now, wasn't it?
That was cool.
Play a little section of it before it was released, and great game. I mean, I played this to completion a couple of Christmases ago. Because the way the channel works, obviously we're always playing games for review, and I try and play a game for fun, a big game around Christmas, and when you've got a bit more time. And I completed Trials of Mana. Yeah, fantastic game. You've got a number of characters to choose from, and you can experience the game from their perspective, but then sometimes you will play as one of the, or you can, if you want to, play as one of the other characters and kind of fill in some of their story beats as you go along.
It's a remake, isn't it, of is it Seiken Tensetsu 3?
3, yes, yeah. So you had the 2 Mana games, and then you had this one that was released only on the Super Famicom, and they've obviously remade it in this version, which is, it's a fantastic game. There was a part at the end that I felt kind of artificially extended the runtime, which some of these games do like to do, but that aside, really good game. Right, next we'll look at JRPGs then. These are more turn-based, more traditional if you like, in terms of their mechanics. And for the first party pick, so this isn't not developed by Nintendo, but it was published by them, made for Nintendo, and that's Bravely Default 2. So this actually was last year's game that I played, the big game that I played last year and completed, and absolutely loved it. I've loved Bravely Default since the first one on the 3DS. And here you have a team of 4, and the main quirk of it, if you like, is that you have that Bravely Default system. You can take 4 goes in a row, and you're being brave, or you can keep your goes defaulting and then use them later on, to add to your strategy. But it's also got an amazing job system where you can kind of mix and match across many different classes using the asterisks. And by doing so, you can build a quite remarkable team. And whilst it does have a lot of grinding, I'm not saying it doesn't, at times it won't be a grinding issue. It will be switching up some of these jobs and trying a different formation of jobs to get through a boss battle.
I like how you got the brand in there. You heard it. I heard it
first.
Lovely. Yeah, I know you really enjoyed this one, and I enjoyed it for review. I just didn't enjoy it as much as you.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it is. The alternate pick, and we know that Square Enix, but they're published by Nintendo, so it's fine.
Yeah.
The alternate pick for me is Persona 5.
Yeah.
Persona 5.
Recently released on the Switch, of course.
Royal, not Royale. I don't know why you'd call it that.
Nah, who would do that?
That'd be weird. But yeah, I mean, I can't tell you anything you probably don't already know about it. It's set in a high school, very weird teacher. Yeah, but it gets dark very quickly, very, very quickly. Really good game, turn-based combat, super stylized. And it's just brilliant, and it is as good as people say. So if you can find it on a discount, or even if you just want it for Christmas, it's an essential pickup in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, moving on to action games now, and this is quite similar to the last one in terms of the first party pick. It's Bayonetta 3, which is published by Nintendo, but it's obviously for Nintendo console. And this recently came out and is a very good action game. It takes a lot of the beats from the first 2 games, kind of ramps them up to 11. It's a ludicrous story. I couldn't keep up with it at all. It's a bit too cutscene heavy for me at times, I must be honest, just for my personal taste. But once it does, just let you get on with it.
Yeah.
Some great action,
Those cutscenes do look good though.
Oh, they look very good, to be fair. Yeah, you're not wrong.
All right, interesting alternate pick actually. This is one that I picked up. This is one that everyone always says is a hidden gem, almost. And they've said that for years, even though it's probably sold loads at this point. Astral Chain. I do kind of get it because I've got it and I haven't played it for some weird reason.
Yeah, I mean this one, to be fair, is also made by Platinum and also published by Nintendo. Yeah. So we're cheating a little bit. We must say, but it's our list.
Christmas.
Exactly right. But no, you're right. I think it's it's not even it's necessarily underrated, or it's just that people seem to have forgotten about it, perhaps. You know, over time. It's a really good game. It's probably on par with Bayonetta 3, maybe even a little bit better, dare I say, you know?
Does it have like an investigatory mechanic? Because I know it's like police. Is there anything like that in there?
Yes, so you will arrive at a scene and you'll follow things along, and you'll have to move the story along by finding certain clues. You'll go back to the police station at times, and then it has the action parts too. Maybe that's what slowed it down for some people. You know, maybe some people just want pure adrenaline.
Yeah.
But it's a great game. Really is worth playing. Right, for racing games then, I mean, to be honest, in terms of first party, there's only really one pick, isn't there? And that's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, Mario Kart is a series that's been going for many years now, going all the way back to the Super Nintendo, of course. And this Mario Kart 8 version is kind of the biggest, most bold and over the top that you've had so far. It does a lot of the same things still, to be fair, doesn't it? It's still Mario Kart, you know?
Yeah, it's the biggest and best Mario Kart of all time. It's Mario Kart plus. It's just Mario Kart, isn't it? And it's always the same, and that's great. I'm a bit bored of it.
No, I can understand that. I kind of share that sentiment, to be honest. But if you're looking for fun at Christmas and you've got your family around...
it's undoubtedly you
can't beat it, really, in terms of that party atmosphere. And it's an incredibly polished game. It'd just be nice to see Nintendo step out of their comfort zone sometimes, wouldn't it, you know?
Just, take a few risks. Push on with the sequels if you're going to, rather than like, let's release more and more tracks and stuff like this. Like, you could have just taken that time. And anyway, I'm going to stop moaning. It's a really good game. It's just I'm bored of it, and that's all it is. What about the alternate pick? We have Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. Now that's more like it, isn't it?
Yeah. So we thought we'd pick something completely different for the alternative pick. And Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is a game that's been out obviously before. Runs very, very well on the Switch.
Yeah.
We were kind of torn between this and Burnout. Is it Burnout Legends? I forget which one it is.
Yeah,
now.
you got this and Burnout, and I know loads of you will be saying Grid Auto Sport. That's the best,
one.
You should be playing, and that is, to be honest, probably a better game. But in terms of like a slightly off the wall pick, I think we wanted one of the classic EA racers. Really.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I love the police chase sections in these games. They really sell it for me. They're just a lot of fun. It's just something very, very different, isn't it? But in terms of third party picks, actually, you've got a lot of choice.
There's loads.
Yeah.
That Rise Race the Future is a brilliant one that's made by like one developer. So if you're after an indie one, then that's an option.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to the next category now, and we've kind of had to put two together to make it work. So this is first/third person shooters, because I don't think there is a first person Nintendo shooter. So we went third for them, and we've gone with Splatoon 3. Now, Splatoon 2, obviously, and 3 are both available on the Switch. They are team-based games where you need to work together to fill a floor, a set amount of the floor to cover it in paint, I should say, to then claim victory for your team. But you can obviously shoot the other team to delay them. They'll respawn back at camp. It's a huge amount of fun. I've played much more of 2 than 3, to be fair, but it's a very similar game. And you have the salmon run mode as well. Which actually,
was that added in the second one, or was that in the first as well?
That was added in the second.
Has the Switch got the first one?
No, that was on the Wii U.
Right, okay.
But salmon run is a kind of more traditional, if you like, shooter, where you're taking down enemies, and again, you're in a team. And I actually liked that more than the base game.
Yeah.
But when it first released on 2, they limited when you could play it. There were like times of the day you weren't allowed to play it. It was so weird.
So upsetting.
Yeah, so we'd go with 3 as the more recent game. A lot of fun, to be fair.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add. It's Splatoon. If you've played 2, you've played 3, but with more modes. Alright, so the alternative pick then would be the Crysis Remastered Trilogy, which I did a video of on the channel. And it's Crysis. I'm not going to make the meme because it's so old and tired and everyone's heard it.
Exactly.
But it runs well enough. It runs, you've got all 3 games there. They're decent. They look really nice. And you've got the nano suit with its different powers and abilities. Completely different flavour to Splatoon, right? Yeah. So you've got like kid-friendly but still very good gyro support game. You've got adult first-person shooter with gyro support and all the things that I think are important in a shooter. Other than that, there's no multiplayer though, so if that's something you're after, you probably want to go the Splatoon route, especially on Nintendo.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Nintendo only support their own games really for multiplayer, don't they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Right, we'll move on to Metroidvanias now, and for the first party pick, it was there was only one option, and that's because it's a cracking game, and that's Metroid Dread. Now this came out, it was towards the end of last year, I believe, mid towards the end of last year. And it goes back to that kind of classic 2D Metroidvania style that the Metroid series itself had moved away from over the years. It adds the robots, the Emmy robots that will pursue Samus and hunt you down. And apart from some times where you can stun them and get away, if they catch you, they kill you. So you kind of have that dread, obviously, of that threat coming towards you. And you need to make your way through sectors, kind of shutting them down so you can progress further through and get back to your ship, which is at the top of this this planet, that you've landed on.
I've got to be honest, the robot, the Emmy thing, has put me off playing.
What, you've played it and didn't like it, or just
no?
don't
I just
want to
see
start
that,
it?
and I'm like, the thought of being pursued constantly by these things, I feel like it's going to be lame.
Nah, it works. It works.
does it?
Because I'll be honest, I thought exactly the same thing. I was like, this is going to get very tedious very quick.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that by the end they don't overuse it, because most games overuse a mechanic to some extent. But it's only certain areas where they are.
Right.
They kind of patrol certain areas,
Okay.
So it's not constant. But
Yeah.
once you're in those areas, you need to get in and out of them before they catch you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do understand what you mean, because I did think the same thing, but I would say that it works much more than it doesn't, and it's definitely worth playing. Very, very good game.
All right then. The alternate pick, the only choice, is Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight. I don't think we've mentioned it last year, which is outrageous.
No, well, to be fair, we left it off lists because we were going to make another list towards the end of the Christmas schedule, and then didn't get around to it. So it just unfortunately looked like we didn't mention it, where it was more that we had to cut some.
Sorry, Hollow
some
Knight.
lists. Yeah,
we love you. Yeah, no, Hollow Knight is the Metroidvania kind of is the benchmark, really, even indies and non-indies that everyone kind of goes by now. And in many ways, it's classic. It's classic Metroidvania. You unlock new skills to get to new areas. You've got a train system. It's overly punishing. It's got a slightly annoying mapping system that everyone seems to kind of brush over. Like, it is annoying. Sometimes you go to an area and you won't find the map.
right.
I completed the game not having the map for a lot of the areas.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and that is a bit of a pain in the arse. And there's also a lot more content than the completion time. So you can do about a 22 hour run. If you want to actually 108%, 109%, something like that, the game, it's going to take you triple that.
Yeah, what I would say
Significantly
about this, I think this is quite an interesting discussion, these two picks. Won't linger on it too long, but for me, Metroidvanias became something in terms of what Metroid did way back when, and then they evolved to something else, and Hollow Knight, as you say, is kind of the poster boy of that.
Yeah.
If you want a more traditional Metroidvania, Metroid Dread is the way, much shorter, much more concise, doesn't do things like that. You'll always find your map, it won't let you not find the map sort of thing. But if you want what Metroidvanias have almost become, Hollow Knight's the way forward,
Do you know what it is? It's an amalgamation of classic Metroid and Dark Souls.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially, that's what you've got. You've got like Metroid Soulsvania.
Yeah, it's almost a new genre of itself, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Lovely. Right, we're going to move on to puzzle games now, and for the first party pick, we have gone for Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Now, I don't think you've played this one.
Never played it.
Okay, so I played this on the Wii U originally, and obviously it's on the Switch now. So this is a very charming isometric puzzle game where you play as Captain Toad, and you need to get your way across the level, picking up stars, and there's like little stamps, collectible stamps that you can find too. But you can't jump, and you need to kind of use use what you find around the level, like there might be lifts or there might be other little bits and bobs, to get across certain obstacles to complete the level.
Yeah.
And obviously you can turn, it's like a diorama, you can turn the level to see. Sometimes you'll turn it and see something you didn't see first time round. And it's got a very charming look to it. It actually started life as a bonus level in Super Mario 3D World.
Okay.
And then became its own game.
Sweet.
But it's really good. Not what you'd necessarily think of when you say puzzle game.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I'm not really not a huge puzzle game fan, honestly. Not really. I'd rather be killing myself in Dark Souls. But what's the alternative pick? Let's have a look. So we've got. Oh, actually, I'll take it all back. I'm just more of an. It sounds terrible, but I prefer adult games. Not that all the Nintendos aren't adult games, but I prefer the adult-themed games. Catherine Full Body's definitely adult-themed.
Yeah, for sure.
This is from the same developer, obviously, as Persona, Atlas, and it's very weird, and I like weird as well. I think I've always quite liked weird in films as well. Really off-the-wall kind of quirky stuff that makes you feel a bit uneasy, and this is definitely up there. So it's got this kind of isometric 3D puzzle game that you're climbing this tower. I remember seeing PewDiePie do like a whole series of this, and I was like, what the hell is that? And it was massive at the time.
Right.
And then I finally got to play it for the channel, and was like, the actual puzzle element's really addictive. It might go on the addictive games list. It's a really addictive puzzle game. Have you played this one?
I have played it on the Xbox, I think it was on.
Okay.
360.
Is that old?
It was a game that was out before. But it's, again, you think of puzzle game, maybe Tetris, say, for example,
Yeah.
like Match 3, that sort of thing comes to mind. But we've gone for 2 games that are still have puzzle elements, but are different sort of
Polar
puzzle
opposites.
games.
Yeah. Edge. Someone will understand.
Okay, we're going to move on to adventure games now, and again, quite an obvious pick in terms of the first party pick, and that is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Now, this was a launch game with the Switch, of course, going all the way back to March 2017. But I only recently completed it, so it took a while.
There you go.
But fantastic adventure game. It's a world. When I first played it, I felt the world was quite sparse, too sparse to be fair. But then as you play on and you kind of start to realise the lore and the story it's telling and the reason why the world is as it now is, I kind of appreciated that. I think felt it added to the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, what a first game to release on a console. I mean, I know it was initially a Wii U game.
Yes.
But the fact that it was in handheld form. The first, massive open world in handheld form was like, wow, this is pretty crazy.
Yeah, when you're scaling those mountains, in handheld, as you say, or...
Do you know what it was? And do you know what's very interesting is that they actually created a fully 2D version of this.
Right, I remember you saying.
So there's a full 2D version of this game when they were prototyping it with the physics and everything. But for me, it is the physics. A lot of people wouldn't have played like a physics sandbox adventure game. If you're a PC gamer, then you would have played a few. But it was one of the first console ones, and at such a big scale. And for Nintendo as well, people, they're very formulaic, or they can be. So people are expecting dungeon, go get the Master Sword, happy days. But being able to go in any direction, fight those guardian beasts any way, which way you want.
Yeah.
And if it's your first, if you have just got yourself a Switch and you've got this game, you can be super excited. You should probably stop this video and go and watch.
Yeah,
go and play that.
Go and play
it's
that one.
Quality.
Yeah, this is the quintessential. Essential game.
Good word, that.
For the alternative pick, one that you're going to talk about because you know all about it, and that's The Witcher 3.
Anyway, The Witcher 3, you've heard of it, you've played it. Take the Breath of the Wild, put it into an adult-themed world. You've got a lot of similarities there, except this has a lot of third-party side quests and things. There's a lot of lore, and really, ideally, you would have played the first 2 games, which again were the PC Master Race games, and a few other consoles. But yeah, so having that in handheld, I know everyone went mad about it, impossible ports and all that jazz. Do you know what's actually crazy? By the time you watch this, there's a new version of The Witcher coming out on next-gen consoles, so Series X and PS5, and they're adding in some new features and stuff, and that's going to be put into the Switch version.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're going to get an updated graphics patch again, and a load of stuff, so we might cover that in some form.
Do you know what is nice? I mean, what you've just said will change it, but the whole game as of release, the base game, 30 odd gigs worth, was all on the cartridge, which is so rare these days, and fair play to them for doing that, even if the added content you're mentioning changes that. The fact it was the case in the first place.
It's great.
Yeah, really good.
It's great, especially if you're receiving that as a present. You don't want to be downloading a massive patch.
No,
I mean,
exactly
you probably will have to still if you want to get the best experience, but you don't have to.
Right, we're going to move on to more traditional, if you like, top-down adventure games now. And again, for the first party, we're going to go for The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Now, this is my favourite game on the Switch. Potentially one of my favourite games of all time. Absolutely love this game in its Game Boy form, way back in the day, and I think they did a great job with the remake, which goes for a lovely plasticine style. Whilst there are some performance issues, unfortunately, like when you're walking through the long grass, which for Nintendo, I mean, come on, sort yourselves out. But it looks beautiful, and it's just a great, quirky game. Very traditional Zelda in some respects, not at all in others.
Right. Have they just taken the 2D game and made it 3D?
They've added a couple of little bits. It's like this new dungeon building feature that I've not put much time in at all. But that's in terms of the game, in terms of the remake, in terms of making it look amazing and orchestral music as opposed to chiptune, etc., etc. It looks completely different, But in terms of the basic mechanics, yes.
Sweet. All right. The alternate pick is Eastward, which was apparently a lot like Earthbound. I've never actually played Earthbound, so I wouldn't know. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Some people, and I said this to you, by the end it does do a few annoying things, as we've said with a lot of these.
Yeah, they tend to, don't they? Yeah.
They tend to just put a few things to elongate the experience. But I still think it's well worth it, and it wouldn't be at this time, well, maybe, but it goes on sale quite often. It has a few little big sales. I think it was like 14 quid last week. I highly recommend this one. Personally, if I had the two between the one you've just said and this, I'd pick this every day of the week. But you probably wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't, but I can appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah.
And to be fair, this one has now received a Western physical release, because this was only in Japan when we reviewed it. But it's now got a standard as well, not like a limited something physical release, so you can pick that up. We're going to move on to fighting games now. So first party, we're going to go with Super Smash Brothers. Now I'm going to be honest, this is not a series that I have a great deal of love for. As much as I love fighting games, and I do appreciate Smash Brothers, I'm very traditional when it comes to fighting games, as you'll see in a minute. But as I said, I can appreciate what Smash Brothers is. It's got a huge amount of content, like ridiculous amount of content in terms of characters and levels. They added to it, obviously, for a long time. There were season passes and you could get more characters and what have you. Great deal of fun to play. Very manic, probably good for Christmas, actually, if you're not into your fighters as much and you just want something that's more fun to play. But then, having said that, you can go very deep into the mechanics and it becomes, you have to master it as well. So it's got both sides to it.
Yeah, I think that's it. When I played this one, I just thought it was button mashy. And I played an old one. Was there one on like the SNES?
No, Nintendo 64 was the first one.
Right, so we had the one on the Nintendo 64, me and my three brothers. So we'd play together, and we didn't have a clue. We'd just be button mashing, and you could, like, the stages, you'd like fall through an area and you'd be in a new area and stuff like that. We weren't good at it, but I think it's one of those where once you learn the mechanics, it's a completely different experience.
It is exactly that, but you don't have to learn them at the same time. You can just play it on that surface level and have loads of fun, which I think why it's such a good game.
Yeah. If you're that kind of player, because personally I just found it meh.
Yeah.
But I know if I'd have taken the time to learn, it would have been a different experience for me. I don't like button mashing because it makes me feel like I don't know what I'm doing, which I don't.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And the alternative pick then is Ultra Street Fighter 2. Ultra. They've gone through all the
Mega.
Exactly. This is a fantastic game. Like, I love Street Fighter anyway.
It's a Street Fighter, isn't it?
It's Street Fighter. I think it's just Street Fighter. It's Street Fighter. That's enough. Like,
I almost got Hadouken.
Exactly right. Yeah. Now there are loads of games to pick for this third-party option. Loads. You've got Mortal Kombat. You've got Dragon Ball Fighters. Some indie ones as well. But this was always going to be my pick. It takes the original Street Fighter 2. It has a lovely hand-drawn art style to it, which you can switch between. You can go back to the old pixel art if you want. And as a traditionalist, I thought I would be doing that, but I love that new style. I've got to be honest, it looks amazing. The online used to be good, used to be fairly populated. I don't know about these days, but you could find a match back in the day. It is Street Fighter, like you said, but not in the tone you use. It's Street Fighter, not Street Fighter, isn't it?
All right, so from Street Fighter over to horror games. I don't like horror at all, but Luigi's Mansion is good, isn't it?
Yeah, so Luigi's Mansion 3 is your first party pick, of course. Comedy horror, I suppose.
Comedy horror.
Yeah, it's fun, it's charming. It's a lovely game, to be fair. I played this one through, well, not all the way through, to be fair, but I played it with my wife, and we had a lot of fun with it. Making your way through the mansion, finding upgrades to help you defeat, the ghosts that come your way. You have that mechanic of having to capture them with what's essentially a vacuum cleaner, and then like bashing them into the walls to weaken them. Has the humour that Luigi's kind of become known for now. He's kind of become this scaredy cat character over the years, hasn't he? That's played for laughs, and that's fine because that suits this the tone of this game perfectly. It's a very good game and it looks lovely.
I've got to be honest, I much prefer Luigi. I think he's the real OG.
Yeah,
he's
Mario's
the unsung hero, really, isn't he?
Mario gives it
he loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's just running around.
Yeah, jumping about.
Luigi's obviously staying fitter. So there's that.
Nice and trim, isn't he?
So trim.
Yeah, nice and tall.
And I preferred green, I think, than the red.
I don't like red, so yeah, mate, you're right.
There you go, you do the maths.
Right, for the third party pick, there are loads. There are loads of games we could have picked, but we went for one of the most technically impressive games on the Switch, as well as a very good game to go with it, and that's Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
So this is a first-person horror game, of course, survival horror this time round, where you play as Amanda Ripley, isn't it? Ellen Ripley's daughter.
Some distant relative, or is it daughter?
No, she's daughter. She's daughter.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously Ripley, OG Ripley, goes missing at the end of the films. She's now grown up, and she has a chance to go off on an expedition to find the black box of the Nostromo, which is obviously where the first Alien film took place, and that's your premise. Very creepy film. The alien is used to fantastic effect in terms of you're not marine, you haven't got loads of guns, and you're killing aliens every 2 minutes. There's an alien, and it's terrifying, and it will destroy you if it finds you.
And I'm just going to stop that guy. You can stop typing. He did say film. He meant game. Yeah? And it is creepy. So there you go.
Yeah, so have that. Don't know what you're talking about, but there you go.
Oh, you'll see.
I messed up.
No, it wasn't really a mess up. It just is what it is. But it is, and it's funny that slipped in there because it's a very, very good game adaptation of the films in terms of atmosphere, in terms of the way that you play, in terms of the fear factor. When you were watching the early Alien films and they had their little scanners, there's that feeling, isn't there? And you get that in this when you're crouching under a table and you see the blooming xenomorph. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Why did I even work my way through this? Like, I mean, I haven't finished it because it drags at the end.
It does drag a bit, yeah.
But even if you're an absolute scaredy cat for horror games, I'm not saying I'm a scaredy cat, but this will work for you. You can do this. I believe in you.
Yeah, and it's as you just said. To be fair, because it's not a film release. A film's released, we've got to have a game for it. Quick, bash one out. And it's absolute rubbish because they've thought of a story that fits the film franchise. Yeah. And they've respected the source material. It's such a good game because of that.
Yeah. Okay, the next one then, and our final pair of games are TRPGs.
Yep, and our first pick is Fire Emblem Three Houses.
As the title suggests, is 3 distinct factions that you can choose to play as each one of them. It does have that tactical turn-based combat, but it's slightly different. It's 2 sides against each other, but does it have some like Advance Warsy style to it? Because someone was asking me about, when we get to it, the third party pick, and if it was like Advance Wars, like this, and I'm like, this doesn't look anything like Advance Wars.
No, well, because what you do is when you attack a unit, it kind of goes into this screen where you'll have you and them.
That's why, okay.
And that's what the Advance Wars used to do too. I'm assuming that's what they mean.
That's what I think they mean, yeah. And I know this has a permanent death mode on it.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
which I like. I'm a big fan of that.
Absolutely.
I think it changes the way you play these games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's universally loved. They added in a 4th house. So there's more content there as well once you've purchased it. So yeah, that's our first party pick. The third party pick, the Tactics Ogre Reborn, based on the original Tactics Ogre, which the developer of which went on to create Final Fantasy Tactics, and it inspired a lot of the mechanics there. But they've remastered it. We love the old remasters, don't we, these days? But it genuinely plays so well, and I think the reason I'm mentioning it here and not Triangle Strategy is because it's pure TRPG. 80% combat, 20% waffle, story.
Yeah, exactly right.
That is it for this video. Remember, you're going to have 12 videos all the way up to Christmas, so keep your notifications and all that jazz on. Make sure you're saving 10% if you're going to buy any games, digitally at least, using code SwitchUp over at switchup.gg. And a thanks to our members and patrons.
Absolutely, yeah. As Mark said, so this will go from today all the way up until Christmas Eve. The last 2 videos of this series will be our subscribers' best games of 2022, and we'll do a poll of some description at some point, obviously, and get your help with that. And then we'll have our best games be in that final video on Christmas Eve.
For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya! He's like, what are you on about? It says it every time you move. Literally every time you move in Path and Full Body, it goes, Edge, Edge.
Oh, okay.
It's really annoying.
Okay.
I wasn't comparing you to the wrestler, Edge, although you do resemble.
Well, yeah, it's the physique that does it.
It's flex. All right, so that's it.